Hey, we got a Purdue guy. His name is Jake Dunn. He's from Tipton, now lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he and I are going to be talking a lot of Purdue football and basketball starting right now.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Mengels.
Finally, welcome to the podcast. Jake Dunn, our new Purdue Boilermaker contributor. Jake, we have like 15 contributors to the Central Indiana Sports Report, and only one other contributor is a Purdue fan, and he's an IU grad. So finally, we have somebody here to talk some Boilermakers. 2022 Purdue grad and Boilermaker fan, Jake Dunn. Thank you so much for joining me, Jake, and we're going to talk a little football.
Yeah, I appreciate having me.
Tell me about your Purdue fandom, how far it goes back, and what your interests are as far as Purdue sports.
I'm from Tipton originally, so about an hour away from campus. Growing up, my aunt went to Purdue, but she wasn't really into sports or anything like that. So I knew about Purdue, but didn't really follow it until a different aunt actually took me to a football game. This would have been like probably 2000, the late 2000s, early 2010s. I think they were playing Minnesota, and that was my first time ever on campus. And just remember, I really enjoyed the game, really enjoyed the atmosphere. Really thought the campus was very beautiful. So that kind of piqued my interest. Basketball is my favorite sport, and I think shortly after that was kind of the golden era, if you will, if you don't count now the golden era. Then that was the golden era of Robbie Hummel, Johnson, each one more. That
Connecticut will always have a national championship that should have been at Purdue.
So yeah, that's I remember watching them as a kid, and coming from Tipton, it's a rich basketball history. So Purdue's got a fairly rich one as well. So growing up, they were really good, and I really enjoyed watching them. It's kind of how I became a fan, and through that fandom, Purdue kind of became my dream school. So proud to say I graduated from there in May of 2022.
My Purdue fandom goes back to 1980. My first game, Jake, involved Rod Woodson and Jim Harbaugh, a Purdue-Michigan game, 84 maybe. And then for the basketball team, and like you, basketball is my number one sport. And I think that's the case with most Purdue fans these days, especially. But always, my entire life, Purdue basketball has been good, and Purdue football has been good for maybe 7-8 years. But we're going to talk about both, but we're going to really get into this basketball season.
Yeah, absolutely. I am pumped up for that.
Oh, man. This is the most pumped up I've been for a Purdue basketball season in a long time, because not only are they going to be good, Jake, they are going to be fun to watch.
I'm excited. Definitely going to make sure to clear the calendar for those games.
Before the season, I predicted that Purdue was going to win 4 games this year. After 1 week, do you think I aim too high? Maybe I aim too low?
I think you're kind of spot on. You look at the schedule. There's a handful of games that, frankly, Purdue doesn't really have a shot in. You look at Notre Dame and Michigan, Ohio State. Those games
Sure.
You can just chalk up as a loss. Maybe the spoiler maker magic will come back, but I mean, with this team, I just don't want to get my hopes up for anything like that. Look at some of the other opponents like USC at home going to appear in a couple of weeks, or Northwestern, Minnesota, some of those games, Rutgers at home.
Rutgers.
Those are some games that are definitely in reach, and games that if things go Purdue's way, you can see that total reach 4, climb up into 5, or if things get a little crazy, maybe even 6.
Right.
But was really impressed with what I saw from Coach Odom in his debut with the Boilermakers. So things that the social media teams put out about some of the kind of speeches he's given to the team, and kind of just his whole mantra, I think is something that the team really needed. Instilling discipline, and I guess kind of having real coaching, if you will. Some of the things I've read is people on the team feel like they have real coaches now. which that's a good thing about Barry Odom, but maybe a little more of a slight of the previous regime that was in there. But yeah,
Yep.
really impressed with the game, and so hopefully can keep the momentum up here next week against, or I guess this week really, up against Southern Illinois, and the week after against USC.
Here's what I predicted coming into the season, Jake. I predicted a win over Ball State. I predicted a win over Northwestern. And I said they would either beat Minnesota or Rutgers, which would give you 4, including this week against Southern Illinois, which is the most given win, I believe, even over Ball State. Even though Southern Illinois is a ranked FCS team, don't want to take them lightly. Mm-hmm. This should be a win.
The head coach, Nick Hill, and the Southern Illinois team, they do have some FBS wins under their belt. Looks like they've beaten UMass, Northwestern, and NIU. They do have kind of some giant slayer capabilities. If we kind of see what we saw against Ball State, then yeah, Purdue should be able to handle this. I don't want to say fairly easily because again they're a ranked FCS team. They've beaten FBS teams before. It'd be nice to see Ryan Brown and Devin Mockabee and those guys kind of take off their pads at halftime and then leave them off.
And the Salukis are ranked 15th in FCS this year and are coming off a 49-3 win over Thomas More. So they play down a division and this week play up a division. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them. So in order to get to the 4 or 5 wins, obviously going to have to win this week. And then we will just go from there. Let's talk a little bit of basketball, Jake, and awful lot of preseason polls, and we're not even to the preseason yet, but the preseason polls have Purdue number 1. Are you buying it?
Yeah, I'm buying it. I really like what I see from some of the new additions to the team. Oscar Clough from South Dakota, Meyer over from Israel. So it's pretty crazy that college teams can bring in basically professional athletes to come and play college basketball. Right. But that's for better or for worse. That's the world that we live in. But really liked what I saw from him. I was able to see a little bit of him play in the FIBA, like the U18, U19, U20 games. So popped off. It had some 30-point games there. So posted some really good stats and seems like he can create his own shot. Going to be a nice addition to the team as a ball handler. Going to be able to give Braden Smith some breaks, which is something he hasn't really been able to have over the past few years. I mean, kind of another strong primary ball handler. Guys like Fletcher Lawyer, CJ Cox, Jakari Harris, they can kind of handle the ball, but it's a pretty steep drop off in terms of ball handling and passing when it comes to Braden. So I think they'll definitely play alongside each other too. Kind of having the best 5 out on the floor sometimes. You may see somebody get pushed to the bench. I think I saw a stat that Purdue's returning almost 70% of their minutes from last year. Yeah. So obviously that continuity is gonna carry him a long way in March. So honestly, it would really get better after Zach Edey left. I keep trying not to get my hopes up for this year because I don't want to let be disappointed and be let down. But Purdue's looking really strong. Final Four's in Indianapolis too. This kind of seems like the stars are kind of aligning there. So we get healthy Daniel Jacobson back as well. I think he's gonna be a big difference maker in terms of the defense. Purdue, didn't really have many block shots. The interior defense was very weak in terms of compared to some of the other teams in the Big Ten and just nationally.
Right. And compared to Purdue traditionally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm trying to think of like the last good defensive team that Purdue had. I feel like it's been at least before COVID where they've had like a true, or maybe like a 2021 team where they had like a true defensive team. Yeah, Purdue's kind of shifted from I don't want to say a defensive minded team because I feel like they've always had good offensive teams, but the focus on defense is kind of lessened. You kind of just need defense to be serviceable, when you have guys like Zach Edey or Braden Smith, Jaden
and
Ivey.
and a coach like Matt Painter, who
Exactly.
emphasizes player movement, ball movement. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And here's the thing, Jake. I think even if they didn't add the two newcomers, who I think are both going to be tremendous additions, the roster that had Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman ran two potential All-Americans, Fletcher Lawyer, the C.J. Cox, and Jakari Harris. It's hard not to get excited.
It's also hard not to kind of think back to that Houston game and what if the push off at the end gets called. You probably, given Purdue's recent
what
history,
if Purdue plays it better too?
Yeah, exactly. What if Purdue plays it better? That's how we should think of it. But you think about if you beat Houston, given Purdue's recent history against Tennessee and how they played in the Elite Eight, probably beat Tennessee, which means you're back in the Final Four for a second straight year. After losing your best player, that speaks a lot about the guys on the team and Coach Painter and his staff. So I know PJ Thompson, I think, is a big piece of that from the offensive standpoint. He's at Purdue they have kind of offensive coordinators, if you will, and defensive coordinators for basketball. So PJ Thompson is kind of taken over the offense. He's incorporated some NBA actions into the plays, and the previous players like Vince Edwards has talked about like how extensive the playbook is at Purdue. It's a lot of different sets, but a lot of good sets for sure.
I think we just talked about basketball almost as much as football, Jake. And we got to stop doing that until basketball season.
Yeah.
Although I think Purdue fans might excuse us because I think they're just as excited about basketball as we are.
And going back to football, the biggest thing to make sure that you keep Southern Illinois at a safe distance is keeping their quarterback, DJ Williams, really mobile guy, dual threat guy, can run the ball. Purdue historically has kind of struggled with mobile quarterbacks like that, so I think keeping him contained is going to be a really big key to winning the game and hopefully winning fairly easily.
Well, the next points they give up will be the first points they give up. So far, so good. Jake Dunn, thank you so much for joining me. It's been an awful lot of fun. I've been looking forward to having another Purdue guy with me because I've been itching to talk Boilermakers.
I live in Charlotte, North Carolina now. I definitely have run into some Purdue fans, but not a ton out here in the wild. Always good to talk Purdue sports and especially Purdue basketball with fellow Boilermakers. Really appreciate you having me and looking forward to doing this on a consistent basis here over the basketball and football seasons.
Can't wait. Thanks so much. Thanks so much to Jake, and to get more Jake and Purdue athletics, please subscribe at YouTube, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, or SoundCloud, or just all 5 of them. That would help us so much. Help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Thank you.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.